Have you ever waited years to understand a book, only to realize you still don't? That's been my journey with Tolstoy's Anna Karenina. I read it young. I've listened again now with Maggie Gyllenhaal's brilliant audiobook performance, and I was sure, this time, I would finally grasp Levin's great epiphany. Spoiler, I'm not sure I did, and that's why this average review might matter to you. A confession, Team Average. This average reviewer is older than his avatar looks. However, I am a devoted consumer of Just for Men. So, it was with some anticipation that I listened to Maggie Gyllenhaal's brilliant performance of the novel, because now, at my particular vintage, I thought I would finally understand Levin's revelation. I first checked out Anna Karenina from John C. Hodges' library immediately after finishing War and Peace. That was long ago, essentially before the internet. Sure, it existed, but who the hell wanted to use its turtle slow butt? Gyllenhaal delivers an award-winning performance of the novel. Check out that average review. And the listening filled me with excitement. Now, at an aged and mellowed vintage, hearing her smooth, subdued narration, where she lets the words of the second greatest novel of all time do their work, I felt sure I would understand. Levin is unapologetically Tolstoy fan fiction. His entire inner life is Tolstoy himself. What makes the novel so extraordinary is how Tolstoy creates an equally rich and tragic interior world for Anna, set against the triumph of Levin. That juxtaposition, and the fact that he has also written the greatest novel of all time, is why Tolstoy is the GOAT. When I first read the book, in the times before the internet, I had no idea there were two main characters. Around page 500, with 800 more to go, I worried Anna and Levin might never meet. Back then, I wasn't ready for either of the novel's two climaxes. And even now, this may be a spoiler, but stay with me, I still don't fully understand either one. But I'm talking about Levin today. So, I knew exactly where this reading would end. I knew where Maggie was taking me. I was ready, with all my maturity and 21st century experience, to understand Levin's 19th century epiphany. I craved it. I was too young before, but now, surely, the immense clarity and power of Tolstoy's prose would illuminate this philosophy that had been dark to me for decades.
Mama said that you live like a barbarian out there and wear peasant clothes.
Levin, throughout the novel, quests to understand how to live. For his first 30 years, he fumbles in the dark, his inner monologues circling an elusive secret. He's never comfortable in society, always awkward in Moscow or St. Petersburg. He needs Anna's brother, Steva, to guide and protect him in the lounges and restaurants of the cities. In an unforgettable scene, one that could be set in 21st century America as easily as 19th century Russia, at a local election for a provincial marshal, Levin stays bewildered by all the nonsense of the debate where nothing real is said. At the moment to cast his ballot, to the embarrassment of everyone around him, he has to ask, which box? Russia, in the late 19th century, was still a feudal society. The novel takes place sometime after the Emancipation Act of 1861, which had freed the serfs. Levin had already switched his estate to a rent system. Unlike many nobles, Levin relished his country life. He took a personal interest in managing his estate, became exasperated yet curious at the inefficient but natural way his serfs resisted his orders. He even wrote a book on agrarian reform, arguing that Western European models would not work east of the Urals. Through effort, Levin made his rent system work, with benefits for both himself and his peasants, but still it troubled him. Was this truly right and natural way to live? He continuously felt he was doing something unnatural and contrary to the way things ought to be. In one of the most memorable scenes in all literature, Levin mows hay with his serfs. And as an average reviewer who has mowed plenty of hay myself, though not with a scythe or with serfs. I can relate. Within 10 minutes, Levin is drenched in sweat, while the peasants stay dry. The work is immense, but it has rhythm, it has flow. He cuts straighter when he thinks of things other than the mowing itself. He feels the naturalness of it, not with his philosophy, but with his heart. And when they sit down to a peasant lunch, it's more delicious than any meal he's had in Moscow. Yet, Levin still feels lost. Despite his triumph with his estate, his marriage to Kitty, and the birth of their child, he hides a rope in case he commits a grave act against himself. Having read the novel decades before, I knew what was coming. Levin's revelation, his epiphany. The insight I had missed in the 20th century, the one I was sure Tolstoy's prose would reveal to me 1/4 of the way through the 21st. And it didn't land. I still didn't get it when Maggie Gyllenhaal had finished the novel. There was no miracle, no ultimate truth, no question, no answer, not even 42. And I was devastated. For months, it haunted me. The peasant who unlocks this moment for Levin says, "You know, Konstantin Dmitrich, it's not for us to reason. You must live for the soul. You must live for God." It reflects Tolstoy's own spiritual quest. Levin already knows the soul and God are not found in church. It's none of the three sky gods of the monotheistic traditions, though Tolstoy has a Christian framework. It is not going to a religious building on a given day that is right living. Intellectual pursuits lack some essential vitamin to keep one alive properly too. There is no roadmap offered through this dark forest, and it is incredibly frustrating. Incredibly frustrating, because in every other instance of the two greatest novels, there is peerless clarity of prose. No detail is left in doubt. At the end of his own personal, spiritual journey, one he grappled with for a lifetime, Tolstoy leaves his readers a mystery, an abstraction. Live for the soul. In the greatest English essay on Tolstoy, Isaiah Berlin employs wisdom from ancient Greece to describe this paradox in Tolstoy. The fox knows many things. The hedgehog knows one big thing. Tolstoy paints with words. Every paragraph, every diverse emotion, every human character and philosophy rendered in 8K. He has created Levin, his own avatar, and Anna, a disgraced woman, with the same crispness. Even when critics tell us Tolstoy writes only of the nobility, he sends Anna and Vronsky to a real artist, and he gives Pierre the incomparable Platon Karatev. He is a true and natural fox, but he spent his whole life trying to become a hedgehog. In my own personal irony, Tolstoy the fox, far, far better than the Bible or church, taught me the most about the central tenet of the New Testament, forgiveness. Upon a few months' reflection, though, maybe there is some final understanding. There is no easy answer. There is no switch to flip on the light. There is no roadmap, no prescription. One sees a light in the dark forest and must forever walk towards it, probably never reaching it. Levin knows he will stray from that light. He almost immediately grows annoyed at the same serf who revealed the secret to him, and that's the point. There is no intellectual perfection. There is no moral perfection. What Tolstoy gives us is a lived morality without answers. To keep the light in view, to keep walking towards it, even knowing we will stumble, and even though we don't really know the way. This is not a philosophy studied at university or a morality learned at church, but every child knows it, and every heart feels it. Levin learns to love differently than he did before. He learns a deeper gratitude for everyone around him, just as Pierre did as a prisoner, just as Andrei did on his deathbed. This is the struggle with peace we all need, a life where we can't see the pitfalls, where we cannot know all the answers, where the struggle itself keeps us truly alive and in moral fighting shape. And that, Team Average, is why Levin's Epiphany, one I still do not fully grasp, is worth returning to again and again, because you cannot solve it all at once. It's about continuing the struggle with humility and grace as often as you can. Struggle like Levin. Team Average.